The majority of fan theories are speaking the sparkles of truth, and one Stranger Things fan figured out the connection between Vecna and Eleven's real dad. Over the years, this TV series has left us with some big questions, and based on what we've seen so far in the latest season, we're getting closer to some long answers. And one question that we're still desperate to find out the answer to: who is Eleven's real dad? Join us and let's see the fan theory. The series' closing 2 episodes brought more tense drama, as well as plenty of plot theories and questions for viewers looking ahead to Season 5. One query fans have been particularly leaning into: who is Eleven's real dad? The new theory comes courtesy of the Just the Nobodies podcast, with the hosts sharing their insights in a TikTok video. The theory hones in on Eleven's parentage. Stranger Things leads us to believe that Eleven's father is the fallen Dr. Martin Brenner, and her mother, Terry Ives, most recently seen in a couple of flashbacks this season. A video posted by the podcast lays out a timeline of the MKUltra experiments, starting with Eleven's mother, Terry Ives, who joined the project in 1969. We know Eleven was born in 1971, which means her mom got pregnant with her during the tests sometime in 1970. A 1959 flashback in the mid-season 4 finale reveals a 12-year-old One. That puts One, aka Vecna, as 24 when Eleven was born. The theory is that Brenner knew that none of the kids, numbers 2 through 10, were as strong as number 1. So Dr. Brenner waited for One to get older to make him breed with Terry Ives to create 11 to make sure that she was the strongest, and clearly she is. One of the podcast hosts said in the TikTok clip. Next up, the viewers go on to theorize that Vecna is actually Eleven's dad. The theory claims that Brenner wanted to create a child with stronger powers, so he waited until One was old enough to become a father. Thus, the hypothesis goes back to the first meeting with the doctor, Martin Brenner, Y. Henry Crail. As you remember, the little boy was the one who killed almost his entire family after realizing his powers. Victor Creel's son arrived at Hawkins' lab after he failed to kill his father, the only one to survive his massacre. Already in Brenner's hands, the scientist tried to control the boy's abilities, but it seems that he couldn't, so he inserted an inhibitor on his neck. This is where the potential arguments come in. One fan theory on Reddit proposed an answer to the big question. After Dr. Brenner took him in for long-term experimentation, Henry Creel became number 1 and eventually Vecna. The theory suggests that Dr. Brenner created his subsequent test subjects by actually using number 1's semen, who at the time of at least 11's birth would have been of age. Ugh. If this theory were true, then One's connection with 11 is much stronger than believed and makes Stranger Things moments like the Hawkins Lab massacre much more sinister. While not all test subjects after One may have been produced with One's DNA, it's not too implausible to believe that Brenner would have taken advantage of number 1's genetics in this way. Number 1 and 11 formed a close bond together, with number 1 confiding in her and helping her try to leave Hawkins' lab. While One's identity was revealed and proved that he was massively manipulating 11, it's clear that number 1 found a powerful connection with her. 11's abilities also share similarities with One's. 11's brown hair and eyes may seem to offset this theory at first glance, especially considering that her mother shares the blonde hair and blue eyes that One has, but One's younger self is shown with darker hair. Gwenda Bond's Suspicious Minds, which came out in 2019, was a prequel to the first season of Stranger Things. It took place in the summer of 1969. In the book, it was revealed that Terry agreed to help with the experiments at the Hawkins lab while she was in college. As far as we know, at the time she had a boyfriend named Andrew Rich and became pregnant with his child. He died before he could meet Jane because he was sent to fight in the Vietnam War. The book told the story of Terry's time at Hawkins lab as she tried to find out what the government was up to. The book did have some problems with timelines and other things that were shown in Stranger Things, so it may not have been completely canon. But at least fans can read a version of the story where Eleven's father isn't a secret. There are other fan theories that actually make sense. One of them is Will's connection to Vecna. The final episode of Season 4 calls back to Season 3 when Will felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. His senses were correct. The Upside Down was making its way into Hawkins, and his connection to the alternate dimension and Vecna may grow stronger in Season 5. One Reddit user shared a theory connecting Will's revelation with his Dungeons & Dragons character, a wizard much like Vecna. Like 11, Will is also fettered to 2 worlds, not to mention his connection with the Mind Flayer and his feelings of alienation similar to a young Henry Creel. The Duffers may be setting up a link between Will and Vecna, and because Will is especially vulnerable to the effects of the Upside Down, he makes the perfect candidate to host Vecna. Another one posted, Will said that the Mind Flayer wanted to kill everyone but him. He doesn't want to harm Will, and I think that goes against everything Henry has been saying. He simply doesn't want to kill him because he has been wanting a body to use ever since he has been banished to that alternate dimension. Another theory states that Hawkins might become a war zone. As seen in the finale, Upside Down has finally made a crossover into this reality. After spending the last 4 seasons being the sole defenders of this world from the horrors of the Upside Down, the Hawkins heroes might finally have support from the military. A Reddit user suggests the US government quarantines Hawkins and begins to deploy military forces to combat the Upside Down. Enter Sullivan. Realizing his hubris almost doomed civilization with wanting to kill 11, he seeks out Owens' help in finding her. Owens says they're gonna need a lot more than just her. CIA is deployed to track down all surviving subjects of MK-Ultra. The militaries of the world, led by 11 and other experiments, begin a full invasion of the Upside Down. Another theory states that the Hawkins gang may also have to kill Vecna to save Max, who is in a coma at the end of Season 4. Despite surviving, her heart did stop while she was in Vecna's clutches, and her momentary death was enough for the villain to open a massive gate between worlds. Brenner told 11 that Vecna doesn't kill his victims, he consumes them, which would lead us to believe that he's consumed but not killed Max. A theory from a Reddit user suggests that when 11 entered Max's mind in the hospital, it was nothing but a black abyss. That likely means that our heroes will have to kill Vecna for good if they want their friend back. However, it might also be possible to rescue Max in another way. In episode 7, when 11 discovers all the dead children in the Rainbow Room, Henry tells her, "They aren't gone, 11, they are right here with me," before tapping his head. We know Max is in peril, but we also know that she's not dead. Her mind and soul may reside in Vecna's mind, and it could be up to 11 to go into his head to save her friend. And besides all of these theories, one popular belief about Vecna's abilities has to do, of course, with his clock. One fan speculates that a clock is a tool Vecna uses to see into the past and the future. His ability to manipulate time explains why he can dive deeply into people's memories. It's also why the Upside Down mastermind always seems so certain and assured, he says. "You can't stop this now. You have already lost. This is the beginning of the end, and there is nothing you can do to stop this now." It all implies that Vecna knows what's coming, which is exactly what he shows Nancy. He showed me things that haven't happened yet. The most awful things. I saw a dark cloud spreading over Hawkins, downtown on fire, dead soldiers, and this giant creature with a gaping mouth. And this creature wasn't alone. There were so many monsters, an army, and they were coming into Hawkins, into our neighborhoods, our homes. And then he showed me my mom and Holly, Mike, and they were all, Nancy says. But why would Vecna show Nancy his entire plan? It's likely because he believes there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. At the end of Season 4, the characters see the dark cloud, downtown getting swallowed up by the fire, and the soldiers that may die. They have yet to see the creature with a gaping mouth or armies of monsters, but Vecna has been right on the money. What do you think about these fan theories? Do you consider them right? Let us know in the comments down below.